Okay, there we go. Sorry guys, my webcam has been just, how do you say, a point of sale system. So it's been a little iffy there, but let's actually begin. Hey guys, what's up? This is FalseBulls123, and now you can see how the other side lives. The other side being the messy side of my bedroom that I could be cleaning up, but right now I thought it'd be real fun to actually do an Ode to Flash live stream. So, for people that don't actually follow my live streams, every month this year I have been let's playing a Flash game that I really loved from my childhood. And basically, it's just a way of remembering the era of Flash gaming, what it meant to people my age, and also in some way as a way of archival, even though my shitty conversations and philosophical ramblings are probably not useful for academic purposes. But what do you know? Maybe 200 years from now, they're into that shit. Anyway guys, I am going to now stop showing you my face, first of all because the background looks like shit, and it makes me feel bad about my life, and also because I don't really feel my face is going to add anything to the gameplay. So, oopsie daisy, where's my face? And there we go, it's there again. So, give me 1 second to work with the absolute pain that is Adobe Flash Player, because it seems like every single time that I go off of the browser tab, it's like, what? Flash isn't a thing. That's obviously a virus. You know, like Norton antivirus. That kind of virus. And I say to my computer, no, it's Flash. And you were well happy to get jiggy with it last year, but now it's no good for you or something. Honestly, I understand that, Flash has some severe security issues and it's just become outdated, given, new game engines and other, animation suites, but it's just, we understand. And we are also having a lovely, lovely time just not loading. So, while I scream into the absolute void, let us work once again and actually tell you what this game is about. So, let's see. Rogue Soul is, I believe it was called a side-scrolling platformer. That's a pretty actually accurate description. And I essentially see it as just a really well-refined and genre-specific usage, well, I guess fantasy skin version of the classical running game. So running games were a really popular genre on Flash, and they were basically utilizing Flash's proclivity towards side-scrolling graphics, since essentially the Flash engine could only allow 2D graphics. Okay. Is that what I had to do? Oh my goodness. Since Flash could only really allow 2D graphics with the way that sprites were essentially laid into the game screen, both side-scrolling and point-and-click adventures were both really popular genres because they could utilize those 2D graphics limitations. And so there was quite a few different running games that were popularized during the period, often because of, London Dare challenges, since they were not only easy to make using the engine, but they were also very quick to make. So you actually get a lot of indie runners that were created because of both Flash and the coding gaming culture of the time. So the, developers themselves, I'll try to see if they pull them up. Soul Games actually created quite a few different, games that actually utilized several popular genres at the time. Soul Driver was a side-scrolling driving game, so those were actually also really popular. And then I think the Gentleman was just a basic platformer. Now this game does have a sequel, Rogue Soul 2, and it does have side-scrolling action, but it's broken up into levels, so it's more like Sonic, if you think about it that way. Actually, no, it is very much like Sonic, except you can't backtrack, so it was an interesting game to say the least. Yeah. Honestly, this is just probably one of my most favorite games from the Flash era. It was just very stylistic in its art style, and it also had a lot of replay value for its arcade-style gameplay. And so that's also another thing to notice, actually, is that many Flash games were arcade-based, in the sense that you were wanting to have short 4 or 5 minute gameplay sessions. And so that's actually one of the things that... Let's get into the story. I'm a real star this time. But wait! Borin Hood? That guy, he is scandalous. That rapstallion, he's wanted for 5,000 scollons. I'll show that bitch what. There's only room in this city for one rapscallion, and that's me, bitch. Please, mister, please, get out of my way, get lost. Hello, I am police brutality, nice to meet you, go fuck yourself. Who goes there? Greetings, gentlemen! Catch that! I'm not allowed to say that on YouTube. Oopsie daisy, I murdered a bunch of people, but just kidding, they just got knocked out. Let's see. So, let me look at my stats, and it looks like I do not actually have a save file on this, so let me turn, let me turn down my music a little bit, and let's see. Okay, these are the ones, parachute, slide, and dagger. Now, I haven't played this in a while, so, and okay, it is arrow keys. You cannot use WASDA. Let's go! So one of the interesting things about Flash is that Flash is basic. Give me a second. The save files are, let's see, slide F key to jump or clear obstacles and pick up the cup. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, Flash was basically located on your local computer, and it saved things using browser cookies. Jump to avoid the spears when they attack. Defeat all the spearmen. Okay. And so that's actually one of the interesting things, is that Flash is gameplay that's done completely over browser instead of being downloaded onto your main computer. Go forwards and backwards to avoid sword strikes, defeat all the soldiers. Okay. And yeah, there's actually a large amount of time that goes into the enemy fighting in this game. Pick up some parachutes and use the DT. Okay, pick up the armor. Ooh, look at me getting all those hits. Boom, boom, whee. There we go. Anyway. Pick up the daggers and throw them using the G key. Shoot down an enemy at a distance. Okay. Oh yeah, I got a perfect. If you give a flower to Soli, she will offer you some double jumps to use them to reach the cup. Yeah, so one of the interesting things I think that is unique to the Flash era is having those localized saves, but them being completely different. Sorry, but that progress being erased if you're using a different computer and all of that. So I think it is, like, you know, something that is really interesting about Flash was how what's the word I'm looking for? It's trans something. I just don't remember what I wanted. That must not be important then. Oh yeah. And I'm just walking back to get that dagger. Ooh. Guess I just murdered a boo, because that's how I roll. Yeah, so one of the issues with the side-scrolling levels is that you do have... Oh, dang it. Is that it does have to, like, make a lot of split-second platforming decisions to actually succeed. But I actually cleared Zone 1 perfectly for, like, you know, my first run-through for it. And I got new loot, which is basically achievements. So you get loot... hopefully you can hear my air quotations, for a variety of, like, different things that you do, including killing a certain amount of specific enemies. stealing specific objects like these flour bags in the mill, or like, other basic achievements like that. It also helps not to murder yourself. Another thing you can... Oh, fuck. I'm so bad at this. I say as I'm just, like, murdering all these enemies left and right. Yeah, but... I guess transient would be the correct word. It sounds kind of weird just because... I guess, like, it's multiple connotations and usages. But yeah, basically Flash is temporary. That would be another word I would be looking for to use. Yo, what up, Sully, my boo? I got some flowers because I love you that much. I still can't believe that Warren Hood asshole is like, yo. Like, you want to partake? Because, like, that guy is, like, such a hack. Yeah, and if you guys couldn't see that, I opened up a chest that was hiding in that area, so... I realize my commentary probably isn't that great, but I'm mostly just kind of getting used to the controls again and just partying. So, you can probably tell that I actually have played this once in a while. Just not... Oh, come on, you piece of shit. See, I was doing something, and they go and just, like, murdering me. Like a rude ass. And I die. See, if you notice that you have these characters next to, like, exclamation point signs, and those are essentially, like, challenge characters. So, if you basically get destroyed, but if you destroy them, you essentially get a prize. So, for actually, like, for my first run, I got 500 meters, 2,000 soul yarns, which is my high score, and that's not actually bad for a first run. And these are things I achieved. I beat the spearman near the exclamation point sign. Let's see, 15 piles of soul yarns stolen. 25 enemies defeated, flour bag. 8 souls used, open a chest, draw in the hay. So I dive in the hay. And let's look and see what I actually had to do. So this is my weapon collection, the helmet collection, treasure collection. Those are the different things being stolen. Hero poster. Don't touch the streets for 25 seconds. Don't touch the streets for 45 seconds. Don't touch anyone in the first row. Okay, so you get a bunch of different things depending on how you play the game. So I am just going to go here. And let's continue. Oh, I forgot about this. Basically, if you get like more than one chance to defeat a zone, you actually get 3. So yeah, that was a captain of the guard. They're like really hard to defeat because they have a charge attack, so... Of course, I managed to be a dumb butt and use all of my... And I need to be a lot more poignant with my keys because I keep using them for the wrong thing. So, there we go. Just going to stay up here this time because I don't need to defeat people that badly. Oh yeah, you just saw that, didn't you, boo? That's because I'm just that good. And apparently I forgot how to use my parachute. because I'm really good at playing this game. So I guess with like these live streams, these are kind of just a chance for me to chat about like, you know, what I've been playing lately. And a lot of it's really just been this game called the Talos Principle. I'm trying to think how to describe it. Basically, you're a robot. Wow, Ryan, you're so good at describing things. So the Talos Principle is this like really like puzzle game, and it's like open world. What am I trying to say? So it's like this puzzle game, right? And you're in this complex, and it's like really philosophical about the nature of being a human and all this other stuff. And I don't know, it's a really fun game. It's just like, you know, absolutely solid. And so I've just been kind of doing that instead of actually like planning out my D&D campaign. And I know I'm trash, I'm human trash, but it's what's up. Woo. Yeah. I guess I could actually tell you guys about that if you care to hear. I'm sure like most of you are just like, pay attention, Ryan, you're fucking up the gameplay. But, you know, these are my streams, so I can pretty much talk about whatever I want. Usually I have like all these types of conversations, but I don't know, it's been an interesting month, you know, like with the lockdown and everything, I'm kind of still in that I want to sleep every day part of quarantine life, where it's like just the first couple weeks of, give me a second, like the first couple weeks of like, you know, summer vacation. But I don't know, I don't really get the chance very often because I'm caretaking, I'm doing some caretaking. I don't think I'm actually allowed to tell people like who I caretake for, but just because it's a legal thing. But yeah, so it's like I'm making some money, it's just it's not as much as I would make if I was like, you know, actually back in the kitchen. And honestly, if I worked like a full-time caretaking position, I would be making a lot more money than I do working in a kitchen. But it's like, it's not the same, you know? It's not the same level of enjoyment. And I think that's something that you really have to take into effect, that in a capitalist society, you are only valued by your worth to, like, I guess, like, you know, make capital. So if you don't prioritize your own happiness and your own desires, then are you really, like, you know, free? I don't know. Like, you know, subscribe for more, like, Marxist, like, I guess, misquotings. I definitely feel that as an adult, I need to spend more time understanding, like, economic theory. Because I try to understand, like, why neoliberalism is bad, but then they say things like neo-Keynesian economics, and I don't know what that means, and it makes me sad. And so, it's definitely something that I need to educate myself on. And I think that one of the good things about this lockdown is I've had a lot of time to really, I guess, spend being my own person and not worrying about the grind of life. I've also spent a lot of time having, like, you know, economic worrying, but, you know, that's just part about being an adult, right? Dude, I am just killing it. Now, excuse me while I die horribly. So, I'm pretty sure you actually get an award for murdering that archer there, but I'm not going to do that because I don't feel like that. And I just lost my armor. So that's the one thing about my laptop, is that it definitely tends to lag. And it definitely makes my, I guess... Oh shit, I always forget that there's a guard there, which I don't know how. I guess maybe I just thought, like, you know, he was out of the way, but I think playing Flash games now when I don't have the same setup as I did back then is definitely interesting, because it's not just your internet connection. A lot of it is really your graphics card and how that ties into... and how that ties into basically how your games function. That being said, laptop I have now is a lot better than my old one. My original laptop I bought at a like hole in the wall strip mall. It was a much larger store that basically got like segmented into They got segmented into these like smaller booths, and I'm not sure, but it might have literally just been called La Tienda, which I'm pretty sure just translates to the store. So it was the definition of hole in the wall, like it was just super shady. Well, it wasn't shady, but it was like it had like that flea market feel to it, like everything was very, very secondhand, and you would just like living your life. If that makes sense. So these are great. So daggers are great ways of actually dealing with that sort of like enemy tunnel thing. And you can also always consider elevation when playing this game. I love how I'm giving you tips on how to play a game that's literally going to be non-viable in, a month? Damn, I guess I just wanted to be a bad bitch. Oh, I don't see... What does that mean I was going to do? I don't remember. Oopsie daisy, guess it's time for a little bit of moiter. What was it saying? Dang, I lost my train of thought about our conversation, but I'm just glad that you're enjoying these elite skills, yo. Wow, I am such a fucking douche sometimes. Yeah, but I don't know. I think there's definitely parts of like, the lockdown that I enjoyed, but overall I hate being idle. I am not a very idle person, and honestly this month I've just been relaxing, just doing things that have no, I guess, active purpose to it, like passive hobbies. Because I think in my life I always categorize hobbies by two different criteria. You have what's called excuse me, I must do this little half burp thing. That's the weirdest thing. You have active hobbies, and those are things like drawing, dancing, doing a YouTube channel, or just like any sort of creative endeavor where you're putting work into it. And it can be really fun. Like my D&D campaign, that is another active hobby of mine. It is something that it takes effort and skill to perform. But what separates that from just a passive hobby? Because obviously, if I was really into playing a game like Team Fortress 2 or just any other skill-based competitive game, I could still have fun with that, and that would still be a passive hobby. I think the intention is expectation of increased quality. Basically, if I play this game, am I going to get better at doing this thing? Or not playing this game, but you know what I mean. Ooh, damn, I just got murdered. Let's see. But I got to 300 and... Dang! Someone's a bad bitch. Let's see, beat the captain. I defeated 20 spearmen. But yeah, it's like... Basically, if I'm doing something like drawing, or if I'm doing something where there is a level of skill, I can reach a threshold of skill... Am I expecting myself to get better? Or am I doing this because it is a sort of relaxing thing? Is this a hobby I choose because it makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something or being productive or learning a new skill? Or is this a hobby I do when there's nothing to do? Is this a hobby I do because I am trying to decompress? And so that's really how I try to divide my hobbies. I think that both are important, because I think it's important to have things that you are proud of, things that you feel are accomplishments outside of your career or any other really major endeavor in your life. And I think that there's also, you have to have things that are truly passive. truly things where you sort of have no resistance. So in yoga, there's this pose called the Shavasana, the corpse pose, and I really love the idea of it. Essentially, it's the idea that you are completely relaxed, that you are not working any part of your muscle, that you are completely in the moment without any sort of expectation or, I guess, like, not agency, but I guess action. You are completely and totally at rest. And that is a really, really, like, beautiful concept. Not just because usually when somebody is doing the Shavasana, it means that they're done with their workout and I don't have to go back into tree pose. Or, like, those really obnoxious, like, triangle warrior things. I don't even know how to describe it. All I know is that it is a lot and it makes me tired. And sometimes my thighs hurt. But I think passive hobbies are kind of like that. It's something that you do purely for yourself, without, and I think more than yourself, without an expectation. Because I do a lot of things, I do them for my sake, I try to get better at a skill because I want to feel successful. And that's an expectation that society puts on me, Like, society expects me to, like, be hot or thin or something. That's an expectation I put on myself. That is an obligation that I give to myself. Mostly it's because I'm an extremely high-strung individual who has no chill. But with passive hobbies, it's something that you do completely in the moment. I think that's one of the reasons why I actually liked smoking weed when I was in college, was it was a way of actually living in the moment. It was a way of putting yourself into a state where you give yourself the, I guess, allowance, the permission to relax. And obviously, folks, there are plenty of straight-edge people out there who do not need... Oh yeah, why be dumb when you can be a smarty? You can be completely straight edge, and people do not need substances to really get to that state, but there was also other reasons why I smoked, so I'm not going to get really into that. And I don't think that's really a big secret on my channel. I'm pretty open about that type of thing, just because I don't think that's something people should be ashamed of, especially when it's something like weed. And I think that's, like, there's a lot of people in the world who do drink, who do preferably legal drugs, and so I think it's important to acknowledge that in society and not shame people, because I also think a lot of people who pretty much, like, look down on people, I don't know, like, doing any kind of drug, whether it's, like, crack cocaine or, like, is kind of, a lot of it's classist, I feel. A lot of it, I feel, is very much a form of classism. And, because, when, like, rich people are, like, snorting cocaine, like, on their private jets, you don't hear anyone thumbing their nose at it. But you have, like, a single mom who, like, drinks a beer or smokes some weed, like, at the end of the day after she puts her kids to bed. And that's, like, looked down upon. And I'm not trying to say that, like, there aren't instances where somebody's, like, drug habits outweigh their, like, family obligations, because that is totally a thing. People are negligent. People do make poor life decisions, and some of those are fueled by, like, their drug habits. But I also don't think that it's okay to lump in everyone who... And let's be honest. Things like nicotine, things like alcohol, and things like even like caffeine are all drugs. And while things like nicotine, alcohol, and caffeine are perfectly, I guess, kosher or non-tabooed in society, other things like cannabis do have that taboo against it, even though from a mechanical viewpoint, they act entirely the same. They are the same they are done for the same reasons. Well, caffeine, no. Caffeine's just a mild stimulant, but you understand what I'm saying. Well, that was a time. Sorry. But yeah, it's like... I remember listening to this one quote from that Midnight Gospel show. It's basically like if somebody animated an acid trip It's interesting, I'll tell you that much. But they said, I hate the idea that there's such a thing as a good or bad drug, because it's all about context and usage. And honestly, I can feel that in the same way that, like, you know, stuff like MDMA or, like, you know, psilocybin has been, like, used for, like, therapeutic purposes. There are obviously instances where we can utilize psychotropic and other sort of things in a medicinal or in a very, I guess, functional, recreational sense. But yeah, it's all about safe usage, right? Because obviously there's going to be people that are going to abuse every drug known to man, whether it's alcohol or weed or horse tranquilizers. But there's also plenty of people that utilize, like, you know, recreational drugs like cannabis or alcohol in a safe way as a way of decompressing and relaxing. And considering how the fact that every human, really, every adult human, and most cultures utilize that, I think it's really important to consider that if we do have these prejudices, that a lot of them might be based on class, or even, if we're being honest, race or ethnicity. For instance, in the 1940s, marijuana was demonized by anti-Mexican immigration, like, you know, lobbyists. They use it to scapegoat Hispanics because they were the ones that were seen as generally smoking weed. Which I think is interesting, since I feel like there's many different... What am I trying to say? There's many different... Oh my goodness. Hello? Are you trying to murder me? I did not like that, but thank you. Thank you for not murdering me. I sound like Gloria from Community. Aww, thank you for not murdering me. You better watch it. No, I'm just teasing. What the fuck was that joke? I don't know. I'm sorry. Boop. Oh, damn it. If I was smart, I'd have gotten all that loot up there. Why am I... Oh, fuck. Why am I such a dumb bitch? You know, if you have to ask yourself why you're a dumb bitch, Ryan, that's probably why you're a dumb bitch. No, I'm just being a dumb idiot. Oh, shoot. Who's that guy? I want to defeat him in battle. Yeah, basically this game just gets more intense as it goes on. Oh, you thinking you're gonna murder me? I'm thinking I'm gonna murder you. How you feel about that, boo? Dang, this shit is getting hard. Now, what was I talking about? Classism? Yes. But yeah, it's just, I feel a lot of that type of thing, if it's not literal propaganda created by the DARE program, which, let's be honest, the war on drugs is the most racist thing that has ever happened, and it pisses me off. Haha! Bitch, you thought. But yeah. So, that was a lovely, lovely tangent aside. What else can I talk about? So, I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but pretty much all I've been doing lately is just binge watching Community and playing games. And have you guys ever seen Community? Like, it is amazing. Like, it is straight up a great sitcom. And I think one of the things that is so fantastic about Community is just how explicitly dysfunctional their relationships are. Holy crap, can you believe I actually managed to, like, get past that? And I took the hard route. Wow. I can't believe that I'm doing so well. It's really interesting, because sometimes you play a game forever, and you're like, this is so hard, like, how do I even get past this? And then you come back, like, years later, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry. Was this supposed to be difficult? I guess I'm just that bad of a bitch. Oh, thank God. I realized that there was like a special thing that I think I needed double jumps for that. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that supposed to be difficult? I guess I'm just too bad of a bitch. Oh. So, this actually kind of reminds me of the Paparia games. So, Paparia is done by Flipline Studios, and I'm not sure if I ever actually played them on this channel. But if you don't know, they are probably one of my favorite game series of all times. I think Flipline Studios is just a master of, like, you know, the Flash genre. And they had a few mobile ports. I just don't think their mobile games did as well, if I'm being honest. I can probably use my parachute to get to those chests. Why is this entire, like, level, like, on these things? It's super annoying. Oh, fuck. Fuck you, Mr. Executioner. No, 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 I do not. I do want to look at my loot, because I'm pretty sure that won't. Okay, I got perform a 10-time combo, beat the soldier, beat the archer, 12 purses stolen. Okay, 60 soldiers defeated. Okay, let's try this again, because let's see, I am getting... Oh, I guess you can't kill me. I'm a bad bitch, you can't kill me. I love that Vine. Honestly, Vine is going to be such a, I guess, like, you know, generational thing. Because my little cousin Steven, he ain't gonna know what no Vine is. I mean, I guess he'll have TikTok, but for me, TikTok is not the same. It's like, TikTok is good, but it has a completely different energy to it, you know? Oh my goodness, can you, like, die? Thank you. Oh, guess who it is? Suck a titty and form a committee, that's what I say, yo. That's what you get for taking my armor. So I'm gonna whoop. Am I gonna get it? Yes. Oh, guess who's snazzing now? Yeah, but I think the one thing I regret about, I guess, like, dang, I'm good today. And I just defeated Borin Hood's dumb little thing. He thought he could beat me. Guess who's looking at a higher bounty on his head? They gonna be throwing them tinks at me, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, you trying to hit me? I thought you was trying to fail. Oh, wow. Why am I not this smart all the time? Well, you got such a long, like, you know, murdering phase. You know, I just remembered I can, like, slide to defeat people. No, I'm gonna get hit. Oh, that was so dumb. I'm so dumb. I'm a dumb bitch. But, ha ha ha. Oh, look who it is. Boring Hood? More like, you're boring, Hood. I actually never got to this far in this game. Okay, let's see what's up. I've made it. I'm the most wanted thief in town. But now that people believe in me, I have to fight for them. Ooh! I still have to add to my collection. Let's go! Yay! What does this mean for me? I don't have any paper to actually whoosh. Congratulations! You've unlocked the challenge mode. Try it and collect medals. You can also continue playing and try to unlock all the platinum trophies. So I am going to do I'm going to finish my run. Let's see. I got the crow. Don't touch the tree for 25 feet. Beat an assassin before he appears. Okay, that's pretty cool. Let's see. So, you'd notice that I haven't really done a lot, considering... Okay, cup stolen. Yeah, so as you can see, I actually haven't really made that many achievements because I haven't played it enough. So, you can just feel good that I'm that good, but... Yeah. So, let's try to get a higher score here. And... Okay. And then we can see what the challenges face. Ooh. Gotta jump for that because I'm a dumb bitch. Oh, yeah, I can slide. Oh, that makes it easy as peasy as pie. When you forget you can slide. Those relatable goals. You know how it is, boo. Thank you, honey. See you after, I defeat the capitalist patriarchy through my rough and tumble stealer boys. Oh, you think? You think you can do that? Well, guess it, you can't. Yeah. I think, while I'm here, I might as well just, give you some thoughts on the books I've been reading, if that's cool for you guys. I haven't really been reading too much lately, so it's actually kind of funny. All the books I've been reading are either, super, thick and, political, or they're just, the most shitposty anime mangas you can imagine, so... Half the stuff I've been reading has just been, Inuyasha, Volume 13, and then it's just, A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. And I'm not going to get too into it, but... One of the worries I have, if I can just, talk glibly about my channel for no reason while you just stand there, is there's a lot of content I want to make that is not BookTube related, And it's and it's still on brand for me. It's nothing special that way. But I worry if I try to explore and do everything that I possibly can, is that going to damage, my prospects? Are people not going to watch me because I try out new content? Or is it going to be, a lot of my other, channels I like, where they just do what they want to do? And, oh, shit. Well, there I go talking like an idiot and murdering myself. But I remember something that D'Angelo Wallace said in one of his videos. If you haven't seen D'Angelo Wallace, bruz, you need to check it out, because that's some good shit. So you've probably seen, yep. That's nice. But, you've probably seen D'Angelo Wallace's, video where he just absolutely rakes Sean Dawson of the clothes, because, let's be honest, that man is a creep, and I do not trust him with children. And I don't know how people don't see that anymore. Okay, collect as much treasure as you can. But yeah, so anyway, D'Angelo Wallace said something that was the point of this conversation, Ryan. Maybe pay attention to the things you're saying. Oh, I guess I get no kisses. Because I is trash. Oh, no, wait, there's things over here. Oh, but there's more things over there. Oh, but maybe I can jump on this and get the things. Yeah. That's called pay attention to your surroundings. I'm doing so good. Oh. Dang it. No. Go back. Moonwalk, bitch. Moonwalk faster. Oh, fuck it. Me just in a game. Oh, fuck. Oh. Those are not ledges. Good to know. Okay, so I suck. But let's try that again with me actually paying attention. So, D'Angelo Wallace basically was saying that pretty much I realized I didn't have to make a video I didn't have to make a video all the time. I just had to make a good video all the time. Basically, like, this game is about quality over quantity. And I started thinking about that, and I'm just like, you're right. People aren't going to care what I make as long as they put the same effort into it. Because, let's be honest, like, you would not believe the things that people watch. Like, probably one of the most coolest videos I watched the other day was a cat who was just eating a sausage. And to be fair, it was really cute. Like, it was the cutest cat eating sausage video I have seen in my life. But, oh yeah, look at me being a bad bit. You ain't never seen no one be like that before. Oh, dang it. See, if I was better at this game, I would know how to deal with this. But I snots. But I realized that, like, that's okay, I don't have to be this, like, perfect upload every single time, because I'm not making money off this, like, this is not, like, this massive career for me. I have a career, and that's okay. Let's see, the next one is fight masses of enemies and give an incredible fight in the most insane arena ever. Okay, that sounds like fun. And so, it's something to think about, and I figure, like, if I'm going to do this, I want this to be I don't think it can ever really be a passive hobby, but I wanted to get to close to passive as I can, where it's not about feeling productive, it's about enjoying myself, About having a place where I can just try new things and have fun and be a stupid piece of shit, because I am a really silly person, like, I love, like, being sarcastic and, like, laughing at things and getting really, really excited about dumb shit. Like the fact that in 1997, ABC created a Rodgers and Hammerstein adaptation of Cinderella that had a black lead and also Whoopi fucking Goldberg. Like, why did I not know about this shit, okay? It had Whoopi Goldberg in it. I love Whoopi Goldberg. Like, she's great in everything I have ever seen her in. And Jumping Jack Flash was not that good, but I still love Whoopi Goldberg in that. Also, hot take, my favorite Whoopi Goldberg movie is Sister Act, and you cannot change my mind. Sister Act is amazing, and it should be loved, unironically, forever, because it is the best thing ever. Okay, thank you, do not at me. You may... Oh, come on! I was murdering all them peeps. Whatevs. I'm going to back to this one. Okay, Daggers Master. Bring down your enemies with your daggers in this acrobatic challenge. You will lose if you miss 3 enemies. Oh my goodness. Hey guys, want to bet that I don't remember which key is the dagger key? Figured it out. It was G. Oopsie boopsie. I didn't actually remember to pick up the daggers before I go to the shootings. Oh no. Oh no. I only have one option. Get good. Wait, no, can I actually catch the daggers? Is that a thing? Or did I imagine that? Oh, fuck. I suck balls at this. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's try it again. But yeah, like, and most of these are basically centered around my... Oh, wait, I can jump. Yeah. Take that. Oh, you thought you could do it, but you couldn't. Oh, and look, I murdered a person by mistake. Things you can only say on False Bullsy live streams. Yeah, but it's like... But I also want to make sure that I do have good, like, content. And I do, like, actually contrive to, like, this booktube conceit. Because I think booktube is really fun. And I do enjoy the content. But I realize that I don't actually watch a lot of BookTube just because, I don't know, unless I'm really excited for the creator or it's like, a book I'm really interested in, I know, I feel like it feels a lot of times like booktubers just review the same 6 books. Like, there's so many times that I have heard about the Diviners or the Raven Boys, and it's like, yeah, I'm sure they're fantastic, phenomenal, like, pieces of literature, but the most enjoyable booktube video I watched recently was Rachel Oates talking about poetry, because I've just never listened to someone talk about, like, poetry like that, and actually, like, get into it. So that was really cool. Let's see. So this is Watch Your Steps. Pick up as many feathers as you can, but avoid touching the ground. Be careful. Dozol the Alchemist has changed the gravity rules. Rude-ass Dorzel the Gravity Alchemist. Who even does that? Rude. Changes the gravity rules. Like, who even does that? Gorzel the Alchemist? Rude. Okay, this is intense. Like, especially since, like, my computer's, like, already kind of laggy. So, like, this gameplay is just, like, I'm just, like, waiting for it to speed up again. And I'm, like, terrified it will, because it's actually a little difficult to actually maintain, like, as well as I'm doing. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, no. Okay, but did you see a bronze medal? That was intense. Like, I deserve love and affection for that. Yeah, how long have I been live streaming? 52 minutes. Yeah, so I think I will, let's see, play one last challenge, and then I'm probably going to head out for the night. Okay, guys? So this is take up the most perilous challenge, try and finish this path of death. Nothing says you have to. Well, bitch, now I'm gonna. Telling me I don't have to, that means I gotta. Telling me I don't have to. Whoa, am I even alive? Whoa, okay. Excuse me, I would like not to die today, but thank you very much. Holy shit! Okay, I am intrigued. Like, they want effing around. I'm thinking, okay, here we go. But, like, no, they're just like, you ready to die today? And I'm just like, I guess so. Oh, I know what I can talk about. Oh, shoot. Maybe I shouldn't have used up all my daggers already. Oh, fuck. Oh, I didn't have any. Oh, I'm dumb. Me, just like in a situation. Oh, I'm dumb. So, let's say I watched a few movies since I review every movie that I watched in 2020, because I'm a dumb bitch who apparently likes to murder themselves. So let's say I watched The Descent. I told you about that. I watched, so what was after that? I'm trying to remember. Okay. Oh, that was it. I watched the Poughkeepsie tapes, and this was like this found footage style. Oh, damn it. Why am I dumb? Excuse me. Okay, after this, I'm going to play like the main thing one more time. Just so I can remember what it was like to be good at like playing a video game. And then I'll sob quietly in my room. This is so mean to me. Do you see this? They could have been nice, but I guess when I played the deadliest path ever, it is literally the deadliest path ever. Okay, fam. Yeah, but I watched the Poughkeepsie tapes, and there was like this found footage like serial killer movie, and it was made by Jack Doherty. He's the guy that did As Above, So Below, and I liked As Above, So Below, but honestly, it has a lot of the same issues. Because, I wonder what I got lewd for. Oh, it's probably for killing that person. Things you can only say on False Bulls 123 live stream. Oh, wait. Usually if I go under something, there's usually a person to be stabbed on the other end. I was wrong. I'm usually right about being able to stab people. Honestly, these like out of context quotes are probably just getting nicer and nicer every time you follow on. But yeah. And I thought it was okay, but like I said before, Doughty has a lot of these running themes where he'll be like really good at setting up a story and having some like good horror moments, and then just like having nothing to pay off like narrative wise. Like, it feels like the guy can write really good spectacle and really good like set dressing, but he just has no like mind towards actual cohesive lore. And that's a little bit of a bother for me, if I'm being honest, because I'm the type of guy that I'm just like, yeah, but like, what's the backstory? What's this motivation? And Dolly's just like, fuck if I know, he's a murderer. He just kept this like woman as a sex slave for 6 years in his basement. And he just murders a lot of people. And I'm just like, yeah, but like, why though? And he's like, fuck if I know, he's a murderer. And I'm like, okay. Like, why is he murdering people? What's with the mask? What's with, like, the slave master BDSM stuff? Also, like, why did he take, like, give me some Criminal Minds stuff, because it can't be, like, I get it, it can't, like, always be, like, super in-depth Criminal Minds where they talk about, like, why he, like, does things, but can you give us a little? Can you give us, like, a teensy bit of, like, speculation? What? Emote? I don't remember what I was looking at. Modicum. Thank you, internet. Can you give us, like, a modicum of, like, just explanation instead of being like, oh, he's a serial killer, he's murdering people? Because, like, with As Above, So Below, like, there was, like, subtext. Like, there was, like, a lot of, like, hidden symbolistic meaning and, like, a lot of parallels and allegory and stuff like that. And then at the end, it just kind of fell apart because they were doing this whole, like, character's past comes back to haunt them, but they forgot to tell us the character's past, so. But yeah, it wasn't a bad film, but it's the type of film that you, like, look back on and you're like, wait a second, what the hell just happened? Because literally none of it makes sense in retrospect. So, that was how I felt about that. Then I watched another movie called The Taking of Deborah Logan. I always want to say Deborah, because if you look at the way that most people spell Deborah, it looks like Deborah. And I'm just like, why don't we enunciate it with 3 syllables? Because is the O silent? Who even makes a vowel silent? I say even though phonetically the E in my name is silent, but like, who even makes an O silent? Like, come on. But it actually was really interesting. It starts out about this, like, discussion of Alzheimer's and how it affects, like, people, like, mentally. And then, it just. And so that's kind of like the way that it starts. And I actually really liked that because, like, my mom had a stroke and stuff. And so while I will never know what it's like for somebody to have dementia, I will, like, understand what it's like to have a family member that needs care taken of and who's, like, debilitated in some way. So, like, I can relate to that. And so the kind of relationship you have between, I guess, taking care of a loved one and spending time with a loved one, and the kind of dichotomy where you kind of become the caretaker and it's like that reversal of roles is a really difficult to describe and kind of emotional experience. And so by actually being able to play into that dynamic that a lot of, like, people can actually relate to, unfortunately, you actually start off on a really good footing horror-wise. I think one of the best things about horror is when you can draw horrors into real life, into realistic, rather, like, experiences. Because, yeah, stuff like, Nightmare on Elm Street is really fun because you're like, am I awake? Am I dreaming? Or things like Final Destination where you're like, how are they going to get murdered? This interesting that because of how over the top and ridiculous the movies are. And they have to be enjoyed for being over the top and ridiculous. But I think really good horror, like, I guess, cerebral, intense, personal, however you want to describe a horror, can really only be done well as if it's based off of realistic situations. And not necessarily like, stuff like true crime, just having a lot of the horror, at least some of the horror, be psychological, be emotional, be tied into people's personal struggles. Then you can throw in like, snake-jawed grannies and shit. But having it start out with actual emotional stakes that people can relate to really makes the horror personal. And I think there's a lot of things that is really hard to do in a lot of horror movies, is where to draw the line between relatability and, I guess, serviceability. Because because a lot of, like, slashery, like, teen elimination is a phrase I've heard before. A lot of those movies, you want to have really, really almost cookie cutter, like cardboard cut out characters. Because they're going to die soon, like, they don't need these deep, like, long backstories if you're just going to murder them off in, like, 15 minutes. And I think a lot of the times they do it really poorly because some people see that instead of, like, just, like, being, hey, let's just, like, play this into the archetypes, we give them some characterization, make them feel like fleshed out people we might know, rather than, like, just caricatures and stereotypes. Or my favorite thing, putting in, like, a token gay and just reducing them to their sexuality, because we love seeing that in horror. But yeah, like, actually having relatable characters in horror is just so great. And that's one thing that, like, was it the Tingling to Boiling did really well. It's like, I felt like I knew all of these characters, like, they were just all, like, permeations of people I could imagine actually meeting in real life. And that was really cool. And I really liked the daughter, not only because, like I said before, I can relate to basically her being a caretaker, but I also, like, just really loved her, like, who she was. I also liked that she was just explicitly a lesbian, but they didn't make that, like, a big thing of her personality. Like, I watched Blumhouse's Truth or Dare the other day, right? And there's this character, and he has the big gay. And literally his entire, like, story arc is about him just being, like, super gay. And he's like, that's right, I have, like, a boyfriend, and I haven't told my dad I'm out, and, like, all this other stuff. And I'm just like, that's cool and all, but, like, is that everything? It's like, at least one, and, like, yeah, all the other characters weren't that, like, much better. It's like, one chick was her dad was dead, another chick, like, she was just an alcoholic, and that was her story arc. One guy just wanted to be a doctor, so he was like, fuck, I know the fuck just happened, I'ma get the fuck out of here, fuck this shit, I'm out. And, like, that was his whole story arc, so it's like, be gay, have dad was, like, as good as he was gonna get, but it's like, I think it's kind of shitty, especially when you never see, like, a straight person. Well, actually, no, I can't really say that you don't ever see straight people reduced to their sexuality, because there are literally so many horror movies where there's just, like, a girlfriend, and her entire characterization is related to her, fucking a dude, so, in that sense, yeah, that woman is reduced to her sexuality, so, I guess, like, yay, it's not homophobic, because everyone is equally shitty towards, I guess, just people in relationships. But yeah, it's like, what was I getting on? But yeah, I really liked how her character was basically, like, she was a lesbian, she was gay, but that wasn't, like, the end-all, be-all of her character. And there was actually, like, parts, let's see, 15 Flowers Given, and what's this? Oh, and you get tiny little medals for winning the challenges. Aw, that's so cute. But yeah, like, it was a part of her characterization. It was a part of who she was. But she existed outside of just that identity. And I really love that. Because I love to see, like, representative media, but sometimes I feel that characters are either put in simply as tokenism, or they're put in to basically just virtue signal, which, don't get me wrong, tokenism is virtue signaling. It's being like, oh, we felt bad we didn't have any diversity, so we just shoehorn diversity in here in the most, like, I guess, passive way possible. We just added, like, a little bit of, like, cola to the background, but we're not actually going to expand upon the thing. And I always think that's, like, kind of dumb, because I think the real thing that people really need to understand with the concepts of diverse media representation is it's not a matter of having characters who are simply, like, one identity or the other. It's writing stories with characters that are one identity or the other. It's not them being there that is the thing. It's them being a part of the conversation. It's part of them having the perspective and the narrative. And obviously, there's going to be, like, movies where it's really important that the character is black, or gay, or Asian, or Latinx, or trans, or, like, disabled, or any other, like, identity. And that can be really great, because you can really write a lot of wonderful stories because of that. But I also think it's important to have stories where a character is just a character. They have an identity, they have a backstory, and yeah, maybe the identity influences who they are and how they grew up and all these things. But it isn't the focus of the story. It is part of who they are, but it's not something that overly... Well, let me phrase that. It's not something that completely defines them, because we are defined by our identities, whether we want to be or not. It is just part of life. I am always going to be defined by, like, where I come from, who I am, who my parents are, the situations I grew up in. But that doesn't mean that that's the only way that I can be seen, and that doesn't mean that's the only way that I'm allowed to interact with the world. I think it's important to remember that, yeah, you're always going to have this different perspective. You're always going to have prejudices and biases, and people might treat you different for a variety of different things. And some of the things are really unfair, and some of the things are completely fair. But I think it's important to remember that representation is there for stories to be told, so that everyone can see themselves and recognize themselves on screen, and it not just turn into a bunch of, like, virtually signaling tragedy porn. Because sometimes people get so caught up in, like, oh, the horrors or the struggles or, like, the individual, like, slings and arrows of one identity or the other, that all that's representative for them is the horror stories, for the sucky little things that happen to that marginalized group. And there really needs to be stories out there where it's just people just vibing, just living their best life and not worrying. Alright, give me a second. Got a text. But, just living their best life and not worrying about, like, the stuff in life. Basically, there just needs to be more feel-good family comedies involving all of them. The gays, like, different minorities, and just everyone just, like, vibe and have a good time. It's Christmas or something. Also, just, like, why is it, like, every single rom-com is, like, a white straight couple? I'm like, it's almost like that's the only type of relationship we find is valid in Hollywood, and that's, like, really stupid, because, like, I can watch a horror movie. Let's see. Oh, give me a second. People asking me about my Christmas presents, and what I want for Christmas, dear listeners, is for you to like and subscribe. Haha, teehee. Actually, no, please do that. I'd love to, like, have more people to, like, bother. Yeah, but I don't know, that was just, like, kind of, yeah, I'm gonna finish up this run, but yeah, pretty much it's just, I'm trying to remember what I was actually saying. I wish that there was more. At the same time, I wish there was more content where it was just people being people. They're represented, but not having to go through this performative aspect of having this story or perspective to tell. Because, yeah, it's great to be able to, like, have this story and perspective to tell, but you never see, like, white straight people on, like, the television having to explain or, I guess, perform their identity. They're white, they're straight, and that's just something that they are. It's not something that needs to be explained. It's not something that is important to their backstory. And I think that is, like, something really, really profound. Is that for a lot of other things, people have to go through all this rigmarole. If a character is LGBT, they have to come out in the story. If the character is black, they have to discuss, like, racism or, like, how they're treated different and all these other things. And that's really dumb because no character should have to explain themselves to the screen. They shouldn't have to go through all of these issues. And I think really great movies and shows can have the characters be relatable without having to force them to be performative. That they can just live their lives. Because I think one of my most favorite movies with Queen Latifah is Beauty Shop. I think what's really great about that is that it is just a really enjoyable comedy, and it is a black-led comedy. And while definitely a lot of the humor centers around black culture, it isn't something that feels like that is trying to be aggressively, I guess, Afrocentric. I'm not sure how to describe it. Because compared to something like, it feels organic. It feels like people living their lives and, just being invested in their community, in their culture, and just having a really wonderful time. And the movie is hilarious. It's great, and it's also emotional, and it's all these different things. And it deals with, deals with the character's actual struggles and the way that everything is just, handled. And I just really love everything about the movie because these characters have troubles, they have struggles, and yeah, some of these might be tied into the way, they're perceived. For instance, in Beauty Shop, now I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Queen Latifah was really fed up at the point that she wasn't being promoted, and she felt a lot of it was racially based. So she went out there and she created her own, I guess, community, her own space where she could have a black run, thing. And I really enjoyed that. It was just a really wholesome tale where people had an identity. They were defined by their identity, but they weren't only defined by their identity. They had a life outside of who they were born as or their demographic. But that didn't mean... And so I just think that stuff like that is really great. That you can have that's what I really want to see. Not because, yeah, I want to see these super in-depth, super, woke television shows and movies that deal with racism and xenophobia and all this other shit. But I think it's also important to remember that the world we live in, well, specifically America, is very, very diverse and has always been a country that has prided itself on its diversity. Well, I don't know if I can say that. It's always been a country that has been acknowledged for its diversity. We have always defined ourselves as a country of immigrants, of people from a variety of different cultures coming together and living in this harmony. I think idealistically, America has always wanted to see itself in this cosmopolitan setting. And maybe I'm wrong, because, obviously we don't do a great job at that. America has been defined by its racism and xenophobia and nationalism, and honestly, jingoism, if we're being absolutely honest. We are very, very bad at that. But I think it's important to note that that is one of the things that a lot of us always want. That I feel like from a propaganda perspective, we always kind of tout that this is a nation where everyone's supposed to belong, that we are an egalitarian nation of all stripes and creeds, and we don't actually show that a lot, and that really sucks. And one of the things I want to see with diverse media is that actually come to fruition, to see things like, Sense8 or 2 Second Horror Stories, where you have just this unabashed, unapologetic, and really just unacknowledged diversity, where you have all these different perspectives. And it's just there. It's not even something that you have to talk about. I remember I'm watching this like Vans commercial, like he's popping my feed, and it's like, and this person says like, we're not about girl power. We want to exist in a world where that's not even a conversation. And I think like, on one hand, that's a really great ideal, because I would love to live in a completely egalitarian post-racial world. But I know I say that from a place of privilege, because for most of like, I guess, civilization, we've never lived in an equal society. And the more, like, I read and learn, the more I realize just how hard it is for us to ever be truly equal. And yeah, things have gotten better, in a sense, but it's going to be a long time before we can ever truly be in a Vonneguertian egalitarian society. And so it would be lovely to like exist in a world where these types of things aren't important, but unfortunately for a lot of people, things like that are important. And people are consumed by bigotry and hate, even if it's just like, the diet racism kind, where they just don't really understand their own hatred. And so it's like, I think one of the best ways, at least passively, to deal with that is to encourage diverse representation, because everyone deserves to be seen in society. Everyone deserves to have a voice in society. And I feel like if we actually spent the time trying to consume diverse media and think diversely, we can help to emphasize and understand other people's points of views. I think a large issue with, I was talking to my parents about Islamophobia the other day, and I had to explain to them that, like, the jokes they were making were really offensive, and that was some, like, real shit that a lot of people who were Muslim or even just Middle Eastern had to deal with. And, like, I was saying, like, yeah, it really sucks, because for so many years, we have been existing in this culture that really dehumanizes, like, a lot of these people. And I'm just like, but that doesn't make it okay for us to, like, give into these stereotypes, for us to just accept that that's the societal perspective. It's important to understand that, like, everyone is, like, different, that we have these cultural differences, and that we can't just exist in a world where we constantly dehumanize people, that we need to see every person as a human being. And that means, and I mean that like in a lot of different ways, that we need to really look at our things. And it's like, because there's so many ways we dehumanize people. There's so many ways that we shove people into a box where they are not so much a person, but they are simply a data node, or they're simply a interpretation of some grand archetypal ideal, or I guess like, idea that we have in our head. That person's not like, John Brown, who like, used to be a neuroscience. He's just some druggie on the street. And when we do that, we really lose the humanity of people. We don't emphasize. We just simply reduce people into these unfair and unrealistic boxes. And that's kind of messed up. And we do it all the time. And it's not even an identity politics thing. It's so many different things. It's when you look at someone and you just judge them based off your perception of them. And I think that's, like, really messed up that we actually do that. And so I was trying to talk to my parents, and I'm just like, I know, like, we're fed these jokes and we're fed these things, and honestly, they're not funny. They never were. And that doesn't mean that PC culture is going too far. It means that maybe we should live in a society where we don't make jokes at other people's expenses. Maybe we need to be better than the low brow. Maybe if we are really in a modern era, we shouldn't live by the standards of a lesser one. And I always think that it's interesting because I think it's important to recognize that the idea that we are in better times is really a myth. That every time in existence, if we look at time as existing all concurrently, that everything is just it happens at once, and that... Okay, think about the paradox, what is it, Zeno's arrow. Basically, it's a logical paradox that states that an object is either going somewhere or is somewhere. And so it basically questions the concept of motion. If you can stop time and look at an arrow as it's being shot, is the arrow really moving? It's either in a location or it's not in a location. But when does the arrow move from one location to the other? Because when does it have the time to do so if you stop it enough times? And so basically it's the same concept. If you have every time exists in the now. Every time once long time ago was the present. And the people there felt the same way we do about the present. They felt that the future was really far away and they didn't know what it looked like, and they thought the past was all there was, which it is. And so for them, they lived in the most civilized time. They lived in the most luxurious time. They lived in the time that was the most fucked up. And probably objectively, there was a time that was the best, or the most luxurious, or the most fucked up. And so it's really like, why would we be any different? Because the way that we look at the Romans, the way we feel about the Middle Ages, all of those times are probably the way that future people are going to feel about us. And the way that we look at our ancestors, about our, grandparents, that's the way that, the future people will look at us, what our children and grandchildren would do. And so we can't be a product of our times, because there will always be a product of our times. There will always be a standard which is really messed up. And so I think it's important to remember that we really have to realize that the world is never perfect. The world is never going to be absolutely wonderful. But once again, let's think about Zeno. So one of the things that Zeno has, he was a mathematician. He basically stated that if you have a distance, let's say 1 mile, and you can go half the distance of that length each time. So you go a half mile, then a quarter mile, then an eighth mile, then a 16th mile. But the issue with that is that every time you divide it by half, you are only slightly closer to your distance. And because of the way that the rule is set up, you can never reach zero. You can never reach your goal. But each time you try, you get so much closer to that goal. And I think there's a joke out there, and it says there's an engineer and a scientist. And the joke's actually a little bit gross, but I'm just going to tell it anyway. Basically, the engineer and the scientist are in a room for an experiment or something, and they have and there's a prostitute there, and she's just like, "Hi, I've been paid for the hour, come have sex with me." And so the scientist scoffs, and he's just like, "Well, that's ridiculous. There's no..." And the rules were applied. "There's no way we'll ever be able to actually reach you." And the engineer says, "Well, yeah, but eventually we'll be close enough for practical purposes." And that's a really great point, is that you'll never be able to reach a perfect idealized ideal, because unfortunately the human brain and the human person and society in general, since they are all created of little mini humans, imagine that, cannot live in an absolute. That's why we can never have an absolute truth or an absolute beauty or an absolute justice, because it's just not something that's, I guess, philosophically feasible in my mind. But eventually we can come to a society that is close enough for practical purposes. And I think it's really important that we always stop what we're doing and really consider, am I doing the best I can not to be a product of our times? Am I doing the best I can, to quote another author, to be a good ancestor, to be somebody that when my children or grandchildren, or if you are child infertile or child repulsed, your otherwise descendants, are they going to be able to look at you and be happy? Are you going to be the same type of person that somebody today might talk about how they're like, parents and owned slaves, about how they're like, were activists and they stood up for like civil rights or gay rights or things like that? Are you going to be that person in your descendants' eyes? Because, in a different concurrent moment in time, your ancestors, they had that same question. They were dealing with a world where somebody was breaking up the status quo. And the question for them was, maybe their ancestors did understand. Maybe their ancestors were complete abolitionists. But they still had a choice to stand up against injustice in society. They still had a choice to look at their actions and the way they spoke and the way they thought of people. And even if it didn't really make sense to their worldview, or maybe if it was just something that was so entirely new, they still had a choice on whether or not they would accept that and grow, or if they would simply live on the status quo. If they would simply rehash the same normativity that made so many people unhappy. And so many people complain about PC culture. So many people complain about this liberal agenda. But it's the same thing. I don't think that any societal ill is new. There is nothing new under the sun. I mean, that's a pretty straightforward sentence. Yeah, we find to rehash all the stuff in new and exciting ways. But when you boil everything down, there's nothing new. Mental illness has always existed. The gays have always existed. And racism in all extensive forms have always existed. And it's not a matter of people suddenly now complaining. It's a matter of people being visible when they complain. Because of the world we live in, everyone has a voice, and we can hear these voices. And it doesn't mean that our society was better when everyone was silent. It means our society is more self-conscious, because now everyone has a chance to speak. And obviously, this has gone really maudlin for a Let's Play live stream, but that's how I roll, baby. That's just what I like to do in my live streams, is I like to talk about things. I like to really shoot the shit and just kind of relax. And so, yeah. Anyway, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed, my live stream. It is an hour and a half long because I'm boring and I never shut up. But I had a lot of time talking to you, and I really hoped you did too. Also, I realize no one ever actually is on, my chats during these live streams, so... But, obviously, I'm a small YouTuber, so it makes sense. Actually, I got a good point. Maybe I should do, a podcast. Would you guys like that? If you actually get to this part on the live stream, let me know if you want me to do a podcast. Because, I have podcasting equipment, and obviously I have such dulcet tones for the airwaves. Also, please ignore my cousin playing in the background. He is being my little cousin, that's all I'm going to say. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this Let's Play of Rogue Soul. And then my 30-minute TED Talk about representative media and liberalism in the modern day. You're welcome. And also, while I'm here, let me tell you a little bit about my upload schedule. So I'm going to try to do 4 uploads during the month of December, followed by a New Year's resolution video. And then my next year's content is going to be a combination of resolution-style videos, where I basically just try sort of vlogging-style stuff. And then I will also be doing various bookish videos. Specifically, ones that I have planned is I'm going to try out an ARG app for weight loss. Ooh, that sounds like fun. And I'm going to be doing a book and movie review on the worst book and movie that I watched in 2020. So 2021 is going to be really interesting, and hopefully I'm going to be in a better place financially, mentally, and emotionally. But I'm just glad you're here for the journey, and I really want to thank you guys. I was thinking a lot about how when I first started my YouTube channel, and just how kind of weird it was. How I would just have these really half-baked, concepts of just doing these weird things. And yeah, they were fun, but now that I've been on YouTube for about a year now, I definitely have a better conception of what is a YouTube video. I have a better, I can say that I have a better framework on utilizing these ideas. That because I've been watching so much more different types of YouTube content, that I have this framework that I can, and language that I can use to create content. And so that's actually really awesome. I'm always going to try to expand my YouTube content, to expand the types of things that I try to do and try to make. But for now, I definitely do want to spend more time on BookTube and really enjoy the content. And create the niche, create the space to talk about books that I want to see. Because a lot of the times, I don't really follow book trends. And sure, there's always books that seem really interesting, but I also want to be someone that's not defined by the populace, to be defined by what, is going to be trendy, because I'm not a trendy person, and I want to share things that make me excited. Anyway, guys, this is enough rambling. I enjoy spending some time with you, and honestly, this is just like the story time portion of a food blog. It's there, it's probably entertaining, but most people probably skip past it to get on how to make those fucking scones. Anyway, guys, this is False Bulls 123, and you guessed it, I'm signing off.